Shit!
Sup peeps of the interwebs, WBG here, and I feel the need to explain why Mega Man 7 is actually a shiticular fuckfest that is really the worst game of all time. Now, since this game is so ridiculously expensive, I had to ask my good buddy Mr. Titanic to loan me a copy for the review.
Alright, here you go. Just be really careful though, alright? That costs a lot of money, you know.
I was a big fan of the Mega Mans back when I was a kid. They were released on the best video game console of all time, the NES Super Game System, a console that was only released in the United States. Too bad for the Japanese, they only got this stupid Famicom system. Why don't the Japanese ever get anything nice? Anyways, Mega Man's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and sometimes Y, were the best video games of all time. They were 8-bit, and they had cool robots, and good music, and everyone I knew played them, so therefore they were the best games of all time. It was a golden age of games because that's when I was a kid, but then those morons at Sega decided that video games shouldn't be 8-bit anymore, and that they should be 16-bit. They released a video game console called the Sega Genesis, a console that was only released in the United States and sometimes Europe. They made this video game called Sonic the Hedgehog, which was cool because it was fast, and Lost World is awful because it's not as fast. I know that Shit Biscuit has nothing to do with this review, but I digest. Anywho, to combat the Sega Genesis, Nintendo had to make their video game console. Introducing the Super Nintendo Ultra Entertainment System 64. Capcom tried to resist making new Mega Man games on the SNES 64 for years. As late as 1994, they released Mega Man 6 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. But then Keiji Inafune snorted sour Skittle powder and decided that it just had to be 16 bits instead of 8 bits. And the series was ruined forever. After doing some research, I found out that in 1895, Capcom released Mega Man 7 for the SNES 64. And it sucked balls. What were they thinking when they decided making a 16-bit Mega Man game was a good idea? Because as we all know, the 8-bit Mega Man games were perfect in every possible aspect. So any changes of any kind would only doom the series to failure. Regardless, let's put this shitty game in the system and get this over with. What the fuck?
Shit!
The first thing that happens when you boot up the game system, you see this fancy schmancy introduction. And also the graphics are different. If they're gonna change up the graphics from the original 6 games, couldn't they have at least made that look as good as Mega Man 8? Anyway, Dr. Willy breaks out of prison and... Oh, what the hell, they spelled the villain's name wrong! Dr. Willy's only supposed to have 1 L, not 2. Really? How could they have not noticed simple mistakes in their own work? They should really check on their stuff before they release it. This game is forever ruined and has no chance of redeeming itself. Anyways, when the game finally starts up, this annoying text box shows up. What the hell? You can't be serious. I can't skip this? What, they actually expect me to read? What is this, school? I burned that candy-coated bridge a long time ago. I could never figure out how to calculate the angle errors in geography. But again, I digest. Anyways, you get this cool new hat, which seems to be the only redeeming feature of this game so far. But then Mega Man gives it back to this other robotic jackass that was never even in the other games. What the hell? Who is this guy? And why does Mega Man trust him? I don't trust him. I bet he plays Battlefield instead of Call of Duty. Where are the other good characters from the old games, like Roly-Poly, Dr. Willy, Sigma, Ciel, and Stinko Man? After that, you finally get to play the game. After doing some research, I figured out you have a new weapon called the Muga Buster. That wasn't even in the original 6 Mega Man games, which allows you to charge up shots before hitting enemies. It's cool and all, but it's so overpowered that I can't handle it, and therefore it's bad. It's not like it's completely optional, you have to use it. Later on, we meet these 2 new characters, Bass and Tremble, who are the hardest boss I've ever faced in a Mega Man game. He just jumps up and down and shoots at you. I could barely beat Breakman in Mega Man 3, so how did the game expect you to beat this guy? Anyways, after playing for hours, I finally beat Bass, who's apparently a good guy that wants to stop Dr. Willy. Well gee, thanks for spoiling the end boss for me. I thought it was gonna be Mr. X. ruined forever. After that, you go to a boss selection screen with only 4 robot masters. Gee, they really shortened this game up. The other games had 8 bosses in them, with text under them so I could easily understand what the fuck they were. When you pick one, you notice that the stage select themes isn't like the old games. The old games had 8-bit musics in them, but Mega Man 7 has 16-bit music. What the hell is this? They didn't even put blast processings in it. The Willy Wars, which was only released in Brazil, had blast processings in it, and it was good because they remade the 3 good Muga Man games in 16-bit, which apparently makes them good by default. But this sort of crap confuses me, and therefore it's bad. Let's try this guy, Junk Man, because that's where this game belongs, in the junk. I mean dump. I mean garbage, because that's where the junk goes. Anywho's, the biggest flaw in this game is that Mega Man is precisely 18 pixels taller than he was in the old games. What were they thinking? Now this game is totally and completely unplayable. What the fuck? Upon further analysis, I realized that this game is difficult. So difficult in fact that I can't seem to stay alive longer than a minute. What's this? Volt? Maybe I need to press a power switch of some kind.
Oh, I know! The game designers were smart enough to include one right on the console!
What the hell? The game turned off somehow! Now I have to play that boring intro stage all over again and fight Bass and Tremble again! Oh, this makes me so irate! Alright, Junkman stage is clearly impossible, because I cannot beat it on my first try, so therefore it's impossible and bad. Don't even try the other stages because they're just as impossible. Take Cloudman for example. His stage is bad because it looks just like Airman's stage. How dare they reuse a motif from a previous game? I know it's only for one stage, but I just can't get over how awful it is. It's so frustrating because there are bottomless pits. What the hell? The old Mega Man games didn't have bottomless pits in them? What am I supposed to do? Not fall in? My slide and my Muga Buster don't help at all. Oh crap. And also look at how stupid these robot masters are. Why can't they be cool like the old games? Instead of a tree, a spark, and a garbage can, there's stupid things like junk, clouds, slashes, and springs. It doesn't matter how much fun the bosses are to fight or the challenge they're in, all that matters is their character designs and what they look like. After hours and hours of trying really hard, I finally made it to Dr. Willy's stage, where I found out that you can fight all 8 robot masters at the same time, and you get these crazy new weapons. None of the old games did this. How am I supposed to hit them all with a cloud, or holy shit, this weapon does more damage than their others? What a shitload of barbecued balls! After finishing the boss rush, you finally reach Willy, who is tougher than Canadian steak that's been sitting out in the middle of January and soaking in molasses. I don't even know how tough that is, and I just said it right just now, so therefore it must be funny somehow. Anyway, what were they thinking making the final boss hard like this?
I don't want to play the game, I just gotta beat the game! Man, this game is frustrating and stupid, so therefore it's bad and I hate it and you should too. You'd have better luck fishing a poop out of your anus with a toothpick than beating this game all the way through. I'd rather chew weed while snorting crack up my ass.
I'd rather play games on those new crappy consoles that suck because they're new and because they're not from when I was a kid. But I digest. Back to Muga Man 7. Oh yeah, this game sucks, so I have to find some unfunny way to destroy it.
Well, I'll see you guys next time when I review the most intuitive, innovative, and interesting game of the entire 7th generation. Call of Duty Ghosts for the PlayStation 3.
Hey man, did you have my game now?
Oh, yes. Here you go.
An Xbox game? Ew!
What the hell? The game turned out...
Too much.